What about voluntary behavior, like marching or making a bed? How do we learn those?
Now, we all remember where our head was, right? Yes, sir. Now, utilizing the buddy system, you got doggone 3 minutes. Exactly 3 minutes to make the bottom right. You understand me? Yes, sir. No, wait, you understand me? Yes, sir. No, louder. Do you understand me? Yes, sir. Do it now, move. Go, 0. 0.
Edward L. Thorndike was the first psychologist to systematically investigate how we learn new voluntary behaviors. Later, American psychologist B.F. Skinner became famous for defining the principles of this important form of learning. Skinner coined the term operant to describe behaviors that operate upon the environment and generate consequences.
I would define operant conditioning as shaping and maintaining behavior by making sure that reinforcing consequences follow. Let me give you an example. Suppose we have a pigeon here. It's an ordinary pigeon, but it's quite peacefully walking around in a small space. We watch it and notice what it's doing. Then we decide to condition some bit of its behavior. Suppose we take turning to the left a little bit. The pigeon is hungry, and we can give it a bit of food as what we call a reinforcer. It's a reinforcing consequence. We wait until it turns to the left and then immediately give it a bit of food. Almost at once we can see that it's turning to the left more rapidly than it did before, or more often.
Reinforcement makes it more likely that we will repeat a behavior. Often, we're not even aware that this learning is taking place.
There's a story about a professor who had criticized me publicly on television, and his students decided to shape his behavior. And so they agreed in advance that they would not smile or nod unless he was standing on one corner of this platform. And very soon he spent the time standing there. And then they arranged that they would not smile or nod unless he was facing the blackboard. And they told me that at the end of the hour he was lecturing, facing the blackboard and talking over his shoulder.
There are two types of reinforcement. Positive reinforcement makes it more likely that we will repeat a behavior because we want more of the reinforcer. For example, even though the professor wasn't aware of how his behavior was being shaped, he adjusted his position in response to the student's smiles and nods. On the other hand, negative reinforcement makes it more likely we will repeat a behavior because we want to avoid a consequence. For instance, we are likely to repeat the behavior of paying our bills on time because we want to avoid the consequence of a late charge.